Okay, welcome everybody. First, I want to start talking a little bit about market action from yesterday and kind of timestamp the podcast. Today is before the market open, and futures are down again a decent amount, not as much as the upside was yesterday, but be honest with you, I have no freaking idea where things are going to end up at the end of the day. What I'm here to tell you, and I know we've been talking about this a lot in the program. I would continue to expect enormous amounts of volatility moving forward. It is what it is. You're going to have some of these rallies to the upside. I think we're going to get a little bit more clarity when it comes to July. With that being said, I'm going to say this again and again and again. You need to continue doing what you've been doing if what you've been doing has been smart, been intelligent, been fundamentally sound. You're not, trying to average down or buy up or try to make money back on positions that are down 70, 80, 90%. Fundamentally sound companies that have positive cash flow, companies that have little debt, companies that have tons of cash on their balance sheets are going to be the leaders coming out of this. It's not going to be the ones that have been crushed. It's just not the case. And again, yesterday we got into it a little bit talking about recessions. I'm going to do another column on this and what we see as far as the markets are concerned. But, in your mind, what you should probably prepare yourself for, what I always do, is always prepare myself for a worst case scenario. And you're taking a look at a situation. What happens if the market goes to 3,200? The S&P goes to 3,200. The S&P goes to 3,000. If it does, it's going to be very short-lived. It's going to be very short-lived. And guess what? Over the next several years, you're going to do extraordinarily well. This is a part of the process. It's what makes a market. It's what makes a market. You're going to have sell-offs like this. And again, I know I've said this quite often over the past several months. You don't want to be one of the greater fools. You don't want to be one of the greater fools and return stock to what J.P. Morgan said was their rightful owners, meaning the wealthy, smart money. You want to be smart money. You don't want to be dumb money. Do what smart money is doing. You kind of have to tune out all of the trading and all of the nonsense on TV and these guys that tell you that they're able to time this stuff and they're all great. They're not. They're not. I take a look at some of these portfolio managers that they parade on TV. Does anybody ever go and take a look at what their performance has been over the past 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years? And man, oh man, they have a great couple of months, and man, they got their chest out here. I'm like, yeah, we'll see where you're going to be 5 years from now, because the reality is that's what's important. But anyway, I want to get into energy as well. Right now, just 11% of Americans blame Putin for high energy prices. And I certainly hope that 11% that's blaming Putin, do us all a solid and don't vote. Just do not go to the polls. Please don't. You'd be doing the country you're doing the country a national service if you keep your stupidity out of a frickin' voting booth, blaming Putin. Then we got Biden today. I guess he's gonna have a press conference this afternoon. And people, I know my rhetoric has been getting more and more, I guess, harsh when it comes to politics and when it comes to this president. But he doesn't know what he's doing. He really doesn't. Now he is proposing a federal tax holiday on gasoline, which is about about 18 cents a gallon, somewhere around there. So the average American, we did the math. The average family will save $9 a month, $9 a month. I'm making it up. That's what it is. $9 a month. The former President Barack Obama, Joe Biden was his vice president, called a federal tax holiday on the gas tax a gimmick. Nancy Pelosi, just this past March, called it showbiz. How are you going to, I don't know, how are you going to get this power? You're going to save people $8, $9 a month? That's what you're proposing right now. It's not going to do a damn thing. It's a joke. It really is. Yeah. I was thinking about this before. There was a scene in the movie. Remember Christmas Vacation? Christmas Vacation, when the grandparents first show up at the house at Christmas Vacation, and a lot of hustle and bustle, and they're arguing with one another. And one of the grandparents, I think it was Clark's mom, tells their son, and said, if you rub my bunions on my feet, I'll give you a whole quarter. That's like Biden right now. He's like, I'm going to give you a whole $8 for the month towards your gasoline price. I mean, just shut up, man. Just stop. Go to frickin' Rehoboth Beach and just stay there. Work on your bike riding skills, but just get the hell out of Washington. You just keep screwing crap up. You're making it worse. Yeah, he had the nerve. This guy has been sucking on the government tit his entire life. And again, they think that they're great because they serve in the Senate and they're in public service. Shut up, man. They've never had a real job in their entire life. They never ran a business their entire life. He had the nerve to go after the Chevron CEO, saying, he's being sensitive. He's mildly sensitive. I didn't realize they're going to get their feelings hurt that quickly. Did you know that nobody respects you at all? Did you know that if most Americans would give their right arm at this point in time to have the Chevron CEO as president of the United States rather than you? I'm calling it like I see it, people. And talk about Trump. Listen, I was highly critical of Trump in many, many ways. I thought his conduct, I thought the way that he addressed people, I thought many of the things he said were just completely ridiculous, completely out of line. I couldn't stand it. Basically, I'd known from the get-go. I think the guy's pretty much, the guy's pretty much an a-hole. Yeah. I wouldn't want to hang out with the guy. I don't want my kids to be anything like the guy. But at least he got the job done. And does anybody think we'd be in the predicament we're in right now if he was president and he had won? People, I know you might not like what I have to say, okay, but take a couple steps back and think about it. I didn't like the tweets either. I get it. But this was your choice. Again, this is, we're one see I told you so moment after another here is quite frankly. Russia has now overtaken Saudi Arabia as China's top oil supplier. Oh, and it gets worse. And this is in the New York Times. This is Thomas Friedman's paper. Remember, we made fun of Thomas Friedman in his column from just about a month ago here on the program, where he was lauding Joe Biden and how this is awesome. Europe is coming together and NATO. If we were to say that we are a participant in this war, and the reality is we are a participant in this war. Are we not? Are not the Europeans a participant in this war? Have we not sent weapons? Have we not put down sanctions? We are a player on field in this. Okay, we don't have soldiers there. I get that. And guess what? We're losing. Not only are we losing, Putin is kicking our ass. Yeah, what do you want me to say? Am I again? Prove me wrong. Prove me. How are we doing getting anywhere when it comes to we forced all of these companies to get up and leave. You have to leave Russia, leave all of your stuff there. What did Russia do? Okay, thanks. Oh, you don't want all of those McDonald's fast food joints? We'll take them. We'll reopen them. Goodbye. Oh yeah. Western move to choke Russia's oil exports boomerangs for now. For now, you're kidding, right? This is exactly what we told you was going to happen. And it did. It did. When the United States and the European Union moved to curtail purchases of Russian fossil fuels, they hoped it would make the Russian invasion of Ukraine so economically painful for Moscow that Putin would be forced to abandon it. That prospect now seems remote at best. Don't doubt me. China and India, the world's most populous countries, have swooped in to buy roughly the same volume of Russian oil that would have gone to the West. Oil prices are so high that Russia is making even more money now than it did before the war began. And its currency has surged in value against the dollar. Russian officials are smirking over what they called a spectacular failure to cow Mr. Putin. And the economic pain the oil boycott was meant to inflict is reverberating not so much in Moscow, but in the West, especially here. Skyrocketing oil prices pose a potent threat to President Biden less than halfway into his term. Some point out that Europe's oil embargo has yet to take effect and say the long-term effects of Russia's economic ostracism over the war remain a powerful determiner of the country's fate. Those effects extend far beyond the trade in fossil fuels, hobbling Russian banking and other industries, but is largely the sale of oil and gas that keeps the government and the military afloat. And the funny thing is that they ship. There's a lot of oil refineries in India, and they refine it into gasoline. And as it turns out, that gasoline, guess what? You're buying it here in the United States. Oh yeah. So you think that you're not buying Russian gasoline right now? You are. The combination of discounted Russian crude and higher prices at the pump means that Indian refiners are profiting doubly. According to all the analysts out there, some of the oil products exported by India have been shipped to the United States, Britain, France, and Italy. Once the refiners turn oil into diesel or gasoline, no one can distinguish whether the fuels they ship to Europe and elsewhere come from Russian crude. That means Western motorists who think they're paying more for non-Russian fuel, you're mistaken. So all you people, well, we're doing the right thing. We got to make sacrifices. You're not. You might think you are. It may make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, but you're not. Anyway, moving on. This past again, we're not, and I don't like saying this. I don't. Again, I've mentioned this a zillion times here on the program. My love for my country, my love for the United States, my love for the principles. That's what America's all about. It's principles and limited government. We continue to embarrass ourselves. The House passed a bill last week, 215 to 207, basically telling the Federal Reserve that not only are they supposed to, Federal Reserve right now, Federal Reserve, which that they can't even handle, they obviously haven't been able to handle what's been on their plate as is. Okay, you take a look at inflation. That's their number one job. They can't handle that. The House passed a bill saying the Fed has to codify racial equity as part of the Fed's mandate. The bill would require the Board of Governors and the FOMC to exercise all duties and functions in a manner that fosters the elimination of disparities across racial and ethnic groups with respect to employment, income, wealth, and access to affordable credit. Yes, so the Federal Reserve has to be woke now. They're having a difficult time as it is. Jay Powell's going to be in front of the Senate Banking Committee today, and he's going to be grilled. Down the road, can you imagine AOC or Elizabeth Warren, or whoever the hell is on that committee at that point in time, asking them about whether they're doing enough to make sure that money is going to the right color or right pronoun or right gender, or whatever the flip you're doing now? We're not a serious nation. If you think we're able to compete with countries like China, if we're going to act in such a manner, you're wrong. It's just stupid. And another stupidity here. And again, one of the highlights of this, the Biden administration is his ability to put completely incompetent people in positions of power. Cabinet secretaries, Jennifer Granholm, Pete Buttigieg. We can go on and on and on. We can go on and on and on when it comes to all of this stuff. But the SEC now, they want the SEC to force more disclosures on publicly traded companies in regards to ESG, in regards to how what they do is going to affect the climate. Do you have any idea how difficult that is? Not to mention the fact that you're going to have some lawyers out there. They're going to circle this and find ways to, you're not being honest about your climate change, and start suing and forming class action lawsuits. Do you think this is good for capital formation in the United States? Do you think this is good for business in the United States? I'll be quite honest with you. Okay. If I was a company, I start seeing these types of things, I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to go relist elsewhere. In the same way when we had the highest corporate tax rate in the world during the Obama administrations, companies just upped and moved to Dublin. You can do that nowadays, okay? It's a different world today. I would. It's unpatriotic. Bullshit. You know what's unpatriotic? This is crap. I mean, honestly, I remember that great stand-up routine, Sebastian Maniscalco. He's one of my favorite comedians out there. There's a whole routine. The title of one of his comedy specials is "Aren't You Embarrassed?" I'm being honest. Okay, look me straight in the eye. Okay, you voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Aren't you embarrassed? I mean, are you not embarrassed at this point in time? Anyway, a story talking about apprenticeships here in the United States are going to help reduce unemployment. We've got to get people back to work, pure and simple. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And again, unemployment is very, very low. But again, the idea that everybody has to go to college is patently absurd. I want to share with this. I got to pull this up here on my computer. This Wall Street Journal did this. And I'm gonna go over probably a greater length this weekend on the radio show. It talks about how does a graduate student loan balance get out of control despite years of payments. I'm looking at this, okay, and again, they run numbers here. They said you put yourself in the shoes of a graduate who begins a 2-year master's program in 2021 that costs $100,000. In this scenario, you earn an adjusted gross income of $65,000 after graduation. Your student loan will cover 2-year tuition of $100,000 and 2-year living expenses of about $50,000 plus other less familiar costs. Again, don't do that. You want to go to grad school? Fine. Go part-time. Pay your own frickin' living expenses. Live at home. Okay? Cut a deal with mom and dad. Okay? Save yourself the money. Okay, so again, loan origination fees on top of that, tack on about $5,000 to the $150,000 you need. I'm going through this. You know what it reminded me of? I think it was maybe season 2 of The Sopranos. I remember when was it Richie Aprile got out of jail, and there was Tony's friend who owned the sporting goods store. What was his name again? I forget. And he gets himself in with Rich. Then he gets himself in with Tony, and they're explaining to him how it works and how the interest gets tacked on to, and it's all the stuff. I'm reading this, and this is what this sounds like. This sounds like the mob put these loan scams together. Okay. Loans, again, I'll go on. Loans for graduate students collect interest while you're in school. You can currently borrow $41,000 in one type of federal loan at 5.28%. You must borrow the rest in Grad Plus, which now charges 6.28%. This adds up to nearly $15,000 in interest by the time you enter repayment 6 months after graduation. So what are you up to? $150,000 plus the $5,000 origination plus the interest that accrued. You're already up to $170,000. Federal student loan interest capitalizes when you enter repayment, meaning interest is tacked on to your principal. Again, you're at $170,000 and you start paying interest on that higher amount. Oh, guess what? You're not making much money. You're starting not making much money out of a grad school, so you've got an income-driven repayment plan. Oh, here we're from the government. We're here to help. You pay 10% of your discretionary earnings each month. That's defined as your income that's greater than 150% of the poverty level. You can set payments based on a prior year's tax return. So for your first year in repayment, you might not owe anything at all, but interest is still charged. Based on the size of your loans, that's about $850 a month. That's just interest. You accumulate about $5,000 in interest your first year under the terms of the revised pay-as-you-earn plan. The plan immediately forgives half of the unpaid interest that would otherwise accumulate each month for the types of loans graduate students borrow. So now your student debt is up to what? $175,000. Once you start making payments, you got to pay down the new interest that's built up. This is all before you can start making a dent in your principal. But the amount of your scheduled payment can be less than the interest you are charged each month. So guess what? Your balance keeps getting bigger. You keep up payments on your income-driven plan for 10 years. Again, grad school, let's just say you come out 24, you're 34 years old. You see steady rates. You start paying more each month. You're making a little bit more. After 10 years in repayment, you're reporting an adjusted gross income of $90,000. You've been paying about $535 per month, but that's still less than the monthly interest you're charged. So now you owe $199,000 and you've paid $45,000. Again, this is graduate student loans. I'm still amazed. You got those left-wing lunatics like Elizabeth Warren who taught at Harvard and all these academic types. You do know you're basically ripping people off, right? You do, people. You do understand that this is a flippin' scam. This is a scam. And again, it's a free country, okay? It's a free country. I get it, okay? People didn't have to sign on for these loans. You didn't have to do it. I mean, you can take graduate school classes, then you can do it part-time, and you can do it little by little, and you can have a job. This is all possible. And again, they're talking about down the road, you got a grad degree and you're making $90,000 a year. You do realize you can get a job managing a fast food restaurant for that much today. Don't do it. People, parents, don't let your kids do it. Yeah, that was that song. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Mama, don't let your kids grow up to take out loans to go to flipping grad school. I mean, this is crazy. I get it. Certain professions, okay? Profession. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. There's scenarios, okay, where it makes sense based upon the type of money you're going to make. But other than that, I mean, why? Anyway, story today, Graham Allison and Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt, former CEO, founder of Google. Talking about semiconductors and our situation and just how far we are behind the eight ball when it comes to China. And I'm not going to go through the entire column, but it was pretty frightening. Pretty frightening and how just far behind we are and how reliant we are as a nation on Taiwan. And, China decides to move into Taiwan, we're screwed. We're screwed. There's a stimulus or some sort of tax bill, subsidy bill to build semiconductor plants, some $50 billion bill that's in front of Congress that's getting batted around. Even if that passes, it's a drop in a bucket compared to what China is spending on the manufacture of semiconductors. One of the things that they suggested is that we really need to up the ante when it comes to not the highly advanced chips, but the ones that are a little bit slower. The highly advanced chips are the ones that go into phones and laptops, but the bulk of it's only about 2%. The bulk of chips go into things like your automobile, your refrigerator, your bloody toaster oven. We could kind of catch up with that. Just the manufacturing of chips is just that much cheaper in Asia than it is here. You can't even compare. It makes it, highly attractive for businesses to set up shop over there. Again, I don't know, maybe we can try to figure out something with Central America, maybe Mexico, bring these costs down to some degree. I don't know, but this is most certainly a national security concern, without a doubt. Anyway, I mentioned this yesterday. I'm a big fan of Andy Kessler and the columns he does for the Wall Street Journal. He and I, from time to time, I read a column of his, and I was like, I covered that on the podcast, one on the radio show, same way of thinking. And he had a column this past week, and I've lamented this for a long period of time, the fact that words have meaning. Words have meaning, and when we just start redefining words and changing the meaning of words, it doesn't give us any sort of measuring stick when it comes to debate and logic and reason and all these things that I hold near and dear to my heart. For example, I got in some trouble about this. It's back when I was doing a daily morning drive time program in Tampa, 3 hours every single day. And it was one of the gay marriage debates were taking place. And I was like, listen, I think same-sex couples, they, want to get together. They should have the same tax advantages, everything that, I'm going to say a normal couple would have. And, some of the thing on the right was you're redefining the word marriage. I was like, okay, I solved that problem. We'll just call it gayrage. Just call it gayrage. Won't call it marriage. Just call it gayrage. We got a new word. This is something new. It's something different. We got to come up with a word for it. Problem solved. Anyway, just an example. I'm going to go into Andy's piece here. Friend recently told me he asked the management at a vegan restaurant why they didn't have any honey on the menu. It's from an animal, so it's not vegan, he was told. He tried to explain that honey isn't part of a bee, but instead nectar that bees carry back to a hive. Mix that with enzymes and heat and dehydrate, and it's basically bee barf. Didn't win the argument. He mentioned this because last month a California court ruled that bumblebees are actually fish and can be protected by the California Endangered Species Act. This is as ridiculous as the EPA coming out, and we've talked about this before, defining puddles and drainage ditches as navigable waters so they could regulate them. Yes, your government, your bureaucrats, your EPA says a puddle should be regulated like a lake or a river. Even before this, the Army Corps of Engineers had what they called a glancing geese test, meaning if a migratory bird ever looked at a wet spot, that spot was under federal jurisdiction. Did you think this is what the founders had in mind? No, this is not America. This is something else entirely, but it's here. Meanwhile, we have oat milk and almond milk, even though they're not milk. Oxymoronic plant-based meat, which isn't meat. It's fake meat. And guess what? It's not good for you. It's chock full of salt. It's not good for you. Anybody who tells you it is good for you is lying. Be warned. We're being trained that anything can be anything. The truth has taken a back seat. I don't like it one bit. And again, I couldn't agree more with Andy. It was just an entire column on this. Words have meaning. Words are important. Anyway, listen. Finish up today on the show. I don't want to sound down. I want to sound mean and green. I'm here to inform you. Okay, got an opportunity. To make some changes in this upcoming midterms. We're going to see what happens here. We got to get people in there that appreciate the Constitution of the United States, people that want to balance our budget, want us to live within our means, want to actually look to the founding fathers and the Constitution, what they put together, and follow that. That's who you should consider. That's what's important. That's going to bring the country back. We have to basically chop the size of government down again. It's bureaucratic nonsense like the Securities and Exchange Commission going to start forcing companies. This same Securities and Exchange Commission allows for freaking criminals to run around all over the freaking place. Can't catch anybody after the fact. They're not going to worry about freaking greenhouse gas emissions. Shame on you people. Anyway, didn't want to yell, but I did. Have a great day. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Watchdog on wallstreet.com.